You are running for President of the United States, and you're running as an independent. And I want to ask, what made you run for president at this time in your life? Why now? And why is an independent?
I've been running for truth and justice all my life, and it's inseparable from running for Jesus. But most importantly, it's a matter of trying to keep alive the best of any democratic experiment, which is the empowerment of those Sly Stone called everyday people, or James Cleveland called ordinary people. So I'm looking at the world through the lens of the cross. I'm looking at the world through the lens of the plight and predicament of those Frantz Fanon called the wretched of the earth. So running for president is really just another context for doing the same thing I've been doing all my life. When I looked at the presidential candidates and I said, my God, we've got all of these intelligent, courageous fellow citizens. How do we end up with these mediocre so-and-sos running for president? It's just unbelievable. So I look over the Republican Party and you say, oh, my God, you got Trump leading the country towards Civil War #2. I look at the Democrats, oh, you got Biden heading toward World War III, militarism abroad, with Russia, China, the Middle East. There's got to be some voices that try to keep alive the legacies of the Martin Kings and Rabbi Heschels and Edward Zaids and Dorothy Days. And so I thought it would be very important for me to do what I've always been doing all my life, but now to move into a different context, which is the context of electoral politics. Now, that's a different context, because so much of American politics is legalized bribery and normalized corruption. Where's public? Where's public life? Where's commitment to public service? Where's the commitment to the least of these? Those mass incarcerated, those in hoods and barrios and reservations. 62% of our fellow citizens live from paycheck to paycheck. Yeah. And yet, for the most part, when you look at mass media, you see the lives of the rich and the famous and the celebrities and so forth and so on. Just wait, they're human beings. Okay, there's a whole lot of human beings down here who are catching hell of all colors, all regions, all religions, and non-religions.
Catching hell.
And so it's just a matter of trying to raise my voice in that context of electoral politics so that, I have policies. I'm an abolitionist about poverty. I want to abolish poverty. We could have abolished poverty a long time ago. But the billions and billions of dollars we spend on wars, the billions and billions of dollars of profits on Wall Street, and both parties are parties of war and Wall Street, of war and Silicon Valley, of war and the 1% that own over 90% of the wealth of three individuals who have wealth equivalent to 50% of fellow citizens. 160 million citizens have wealth equivalent to three people. Wow. Now, that's an extreme wealth inequality that I think is spiritually obscene. It really is. It's, well, they worked hard, they're smart and so forth. There's a whole lot of everyday people who are very smart, highly intelligent, willing to work hard. They just don't have the opportunity.
Yes.
And so we have a system. It's not just here, but it's around the world, where we have this tremendous gap between the poor and working classes and the well-to-do. And so when Martin King said, well, it's poverty, it's racism, it's materialism, and it's militarism that's leading the country and the species to its destruction. That's what Martin said in 1967. Brother Martin's right. If we don't stop those four, we in a world of trouble. And by racism, he didn't mean just racism against black people, but the dehumanization of anybody, any slice of humanity. And that's what my campaign is. So in that sense, it's really a moment in a movement more than anything else, a moment in a tradition. And again, I intend to be faithful to it, to speak those truths and see. I mean, right now, Joe Biden may run out of gas. Trump may end up in jail. RFK Jr., I don't know what my brother RFK Jr. might end up doing, but you just don't know. Things are really changing so quickly.
They are.
And we shall see. I just want to be true to my calling.
Well, I think that you are bringing a fresh, balanced, and critical perspective to politics. And when I heard that you were running for president of the United States, I was really excited because you're a fellow scholar.
Ooh,
And
thank you,
I
thank you.
have been watching you all over the news, talking about your perceptions just on a lot of what's happening in the world. And I like how you're being highly critical of everybody. So I think that's really
And that's what
important.
I think that's what one has to do. You know, when you see suffering in the Congo, suffering in Sudan, suffering in Kashmir, suffering wherever it is, south side of Chicago, suffering in Gaza, wherever it is, we have to raise our voices and be as morally consistent and still have the righteous indignation of what's coming at those suffering, struggling people. Really, very much so.
I agree. Are there any other takeaways that you would like for people to consider in thinking about your platform, the goals and the issues that you are addressing?
Well, again, I just think we need to recognize that foreign policy is inseparable from domestic policy. We got some politicians who on a domestic front can say some nice things, but end up supporting militarism or end up supporting war crimes or crimes against humanity or even the crime of genocide. And we have to be critical of that. Some people say, well, I love this politician's policy when it comes to X at home. But what do you think about them when it comes to foreign policy? Oh, I can't stand it. That's the worst thing. Well, there's human beings over there. You see, the human beings in the Middle East or in Africa or in Latin America, they have the same value. Their babies have the same value as babies in America. That doesn't mean that we're anti-American. It just means that America is one nation among nations. It doesn't have to be an empire that other nations defer and only Americans have value or more value than non-Americans. You see, I don't accept that kind of thinking about what it means to be human. And in that sense, we need more voices. I'm not the only one, but we need more voices that are quite upfront about that. And it's difficult, especially in America, because you got polarization, you got repression, you got censorship, you can be canceled, you could be lied on, you could be in prison, you could be assassinated. There's a lot of different consequences that can flow. And so you got to check yourself and see what kind of consequences you're willing to deal with. You know?
Right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that. So yes, for those of you who are tuning in for the first time to my program, I am a professor and I am the creator and host of this wonderful series. And you should keep up with the series because I always have amazing speakers. And of course, I'm speaking with an amazing, amazing scholar today.